Hi friends, it's Caitlin. Today for my tools and technology, I'm going to be presenting to you folding geometric shapes. This is a really cool manipulative to have in your class and to use when teaching kiddos about shapes, and maybe even for my standard, I'm teaching 2D and 3D. So these have transparent shapes, and then inside are nets, and essentially these nets can be folded out to show the different shapes that compose a 3D shape, which ties into the standard I'm actually about to be presenting to you guys. So this is a first grade math standard, and it is 1 GSR 4.1. So this is identify common 2D shapes and 3D figures, sort and classify them by their attributes, and build and draw shapes that possess defining attributes. So I'm also tying this in with a visual arts standard, which is VA1 CR4C. It's also for first grade. Create 3D composition using traditional and or contemporary craft materials and methods. This could be found object assemblage or paper. So I call this presentation Build It, Fold It, Name It. So I'd start out by having the net. So this is what the net looks like. I would have the net folded up into the 3D shape, and I would be holding it up. All right, so today we are going to be exploring how 2D shapes build into 3D figures. I want everybody to look at this cube, and what shapes do we see on the outside? Hopefully, with their little hands raised, they tell me that they see squares. And I'd be like, that's right, perfect, thank you so much for participating. And then we're gonna slowly unfold it for them into this 2D shape. And I would tell them, now this isn't a 3D shape anymore, it's 2D. So it's no longer a cube, but this is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. These flat shapes are called the faces of the cube. Now we understand that the cube is really just a collection of squares folded together. So, and then I would introduce our standards. I would do the math one first, and maybe if kind of see how we're pacing ourselves and going through the lesson, and then maybe introduce the visual arts standard eventually. I'm gonna, for this purpose, will have it, obviously, because I think this one's really cool. But so essentially I'm gonna pass out these shapes to the kiddos. I'm gonna pass out their folding shapes, and their job is to open the shape and find the 2D shapes inside. So I want them to get in here, take out that net and unfold it into the 2D shape and identify the different shapes. Like I said, there's 8 different figures inside this box, and so however many table groups or partner sets that we want to have, just make sure that there are enough shapes for them to use. And so I want them to, like I said, I want them to open the shape, find the 2D shapes inside, and then fold it back up to make that 3D figure. And then I want them to, so I'm giving them dry erase markers. And the cool thing about these shapes is on the outside, so I'm going to use this triangular prism as an example. So hopefully they identify that these are rectangles on the outside, on the base as well. And then the front faces are triangles, so on the side they can write rectangle. I want them to label it. They will know this. And then they only have to do one face, but as an extension, if they want, they can label all the faces if they really feel like it, and if they have time to. So we have rectangle, and then we have triangle. And then when they're finished, or after we've gone over it and everything at the end, they can just erase it. I highly recommend using a Clorox wipe though, because first grade kiddos. So I want them to, at the end, I want them to explain and also compare. So for example, the triangular prism and the cube. Whatever table has a cube, I want them to hold it up and tell me the shapes that they see. This is example, pretend I used a different shape or something. And then the triangular prism group also tells me what shapes they found and what 2D shapes they found in their triangular prism. I'm gonna write this on a board or behind me. Essentially, that they're pointing out the physical attributes, which is the flat faces that they see in the 2D figures. And so like hopefully they point out triangles, rectangles, circles, squares, all that fun stuff. They're identifying those. And then for the art, I'm gonna be like, let's be creative. So I really want to do foldable paper nets, and like I said before, the nets are these are nets. And so hopefully maybe have them cut out these shapes and then fold their shapes up, label them, and then color them. It's a quick activity, it's simple, it's not too hard for them. It shouldn't be too hard for them to do, but it also keeps them engaged and also like reactivates that learning for them, where it's practice essentially, where hey, this is it, I'm making a cube, and so this is gonna have 6 squares in it. Or hey, I'm making a triangular prism, it's gonna have 3 rectangles and 2 triangles in it. And so hopefully, and then they'll have a little bit of fun being able to decorate it for themselves. But another way, you can also do found object assemblage, and they can bring in objects. You can assign them a shape, such as like a cylinder or a square. So or a cylinder or a cube. A cube can be a simple thing like a little candle box like I have here. A cylinder could be hopefully something smaller, but you know, I want to give them that creative liberty. They can even bring in like an empty Clorox wipe container. There are also like paper towel rolls as well, because yes, this is still a cylinder, an empty can, stuff like that. I just want them to have fun with it and remember what they're learning. And so that is mine. And then at the end, of course, I would tell them like today, hey, we learned that 3D shapes are built from 2D faces. By folding, building, and labeling, you proved that you can identify shapes by their attributes and even design your own creations. Hopefully they have a lot of fun with this, but also if I had more time, I would go a little bit more into depth on like kind of like the nitpicky stuff and like the ways that I would help them also remember it. But this is a really good start, and hopefully one day I get to use it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.